Hey everybody, it's Dr. Sam Robbins. Today's topic is how you can live longer and healthier life, maybe up to 100 years old. And I mention this because, in the 40s, that when I got in my 40s, I was thinking about living longer and healthier life. And then my 50s, I definitely took it a lot more seriously. And I mention this in that people have mixed feelings about living longer, all right? So statistics show that if you ask someone, I'll ask you, hey, would you like to live to be 100 or longer? Most people, about 50 to 60, 70% actually say no, they don't. And what's the reason? Maybe their money, or they're worried about all that stuff, or maybe their friends are going to be dying and they're the only ones alive. But generally speaking, the real reason people don't want to say, hey, I want to live to be 100 is because when you think of someone who's 100 years old, you typically see someone who's like frail and dying and they can barely move. They're like really not living life. They're in a wheelchair. Maybe they can't remember anything. They have dementia. They have, cancer. So that's the problem. But imagine if you could live to be 100 and just die at night of old age, right? Imagine living to 100 and you don't have diseases. You don't have cancer. You're not frail. You can still move around and walk and do that. I'm not telling you can go bench press 300 or 400 pounds, but you can still move around. Your memory is good. And again, it's not like it was in your 20s. Hell, my memory's not like it was in the 20s, but you're healthy, right? You're just older. Imagine that. Would you like to do that? I think most people would. The question is, though, can it be done? All right. Now, the research has shown that it can be done, and I'll get into that in a minute. And this is based on studies of centurions. And centurions are people who live to be 100 years old, around that age. And these are typically people that are living in the blue zones. Those are the blue zones is where they study these people, centurions and so forth. Basically, people actually have lived a very long life, at least to 85, 90, and so forth. Now, one thing about the blue zones is they're not like, always on some island. There are different parts of the world. For example, Okinawa, Japan. They're in Greece. They're in Costa Rica. They're in Loma Linda, California, of all places. They're in Sardinia of Italy. So it's all over the place, right? Now, the key contributing factors of people living longer is lifestyle habits and the environment that they live in, all right? Not their genetics, which is interesting because I always, growing up, thought, hey, it's your genetics. If you're going to die at this age, you're going to die at that age. But my dad outlived all his brothers and his father and everyone because he always did live a healthy lifestyle. Always ate well, he exercised, always, and he definitely slept well. And my dad could fall asleep anywhere, anytime, and something I don't have genetically. But my point is, there's strokes and heart attacks and all that stuff in their 50s, 60s, and 70s on my dad's side of the family, and they all died. But my dad, 90 and was still alive. So my whole point is that let's not use genetics as a reason that you can't live longer or long. Or let's just talk about this. How would you like to just live a longer life? Maybe not to 100, but you live a longer life and you die, hopefully disease-free, cancer-free, and just of old age. That's the goal. Now, how can this be done? I've spent like hours, weeks of researching this, reading lots of different books about this, podcasts and so forth. So today I'm going to really summarize it all in just a few minutes. Okay, so you can live longer. You don't have to watch all the stuff I've watched. You don't have to read all the books I have. Let me just make it simple and easy for you so you can get all the information, 5 simple steps, and you take action on them, all of them or some of them, and you'll make not just living longer an optimal goal, but just living a healthier life. Okay, so the first thing is a lot of people live longer, and in these blue zones, they eat a plant-based diet. All right, so this is basically typically things like grains and greens and tubers and nuts and beans and so forth. In fact, the Okinawa, Japan people, 75% of their diet, their calories comes from a purple sweet potato. So keep that in mind. If you want to eat some potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, great. Purple ones are even better. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't eat any protein or animal protein. It just means that the majority of your diet and calories should be plant-based. Okay, and if you're going to eat animal protein, which is fine, you should eat things that are healthy, such as grass-fed and pasture-raised, and meats, and then the wild-caught fish. Right, the more natural and the less processed, the better. You'll absorb it better. It just doesn't have all the junky hormones and so forth. But definitely, basically, no processed meats, hot dogs and sandwich meats. As much as I love the taste of them, they're by far the worst. It's not even natural, all right? So keep that in mind. So basically, the action step is eat more plants. And even if you, in fact, just eat 1 cup of beans daily, all right, it can add cup of cooked beans, it can add up to 5 years of healthy life to you. So that's awesome. Now, the important thing about this diet in the blue zones is that they all cause low inflammation and blood sugar levels. Key important point, like I just said, low inflammation and blood sugar levels. In fact, most health problems are related to inflammation and high blood sugar levels, which unfortunately just goes up simply due to aging. So we really have to do everything possible just because of aging and the negative changes in your hormones to improve our diet and lifestyle so we can reduce the inflammation and the blood sugar levels. And again, if you, for whatever reason, as I tell you everything today, you have a harder time following these diets, aging and all these things, you can and should, what I do is I also take supplements that help reduce inflammation and help lower blood sugar levels. So you can always do that on top of all this stuff. So now you can balance. You don't have to get super strict with your diet. And I put all the information below in the description area on things to lower your inflammation and blood sugar levels. However, let's go on to the next topic, which is moving more. Basically, people who live the longest move more. They're moving all the time. They're not sitting all day long like most people or most Americans. Older people who live the longest, they're walking all the time. They're riding their bikes. They garden. They do a lot of housework. And they do this every day. They do it daily. It's just like a part of natural living, right? They don't have to force it. However, one thing I have to add to this is that I would highly suggest you do some resistant exercise, at least 2, maybe 3 times a week to help build muscle and strength. Remember, muscle is an organ. The more muscles you have, the stronger you are, the longer you will live. Muscle reduces inflammation. Muscle reduces blood sugar levels because muscle sucks in all that glucose and sugar. In fact, the more muscle you have, the more sugar you can consume without having problems. Unfortunately, as we age, we lose muscle and strength, and medically it's called sarcopenia. So that's something we got to worry about. We're not moving as much. We're not doing all the things. We have lower youth hormones, testosterone and growth hormones. So all of that is reducing muscle mass and strength. So at least you have to be able to do some resistance exercise because, again, muscles are an organ, and this organ gets weaker. That accelerates aging. Another factor of aging is grip strength, all right? The stronger your grip, the stronger that is, the longer you typically will live. So that's another thing to keep in mind. It also means lower stress levels, strong grip. And again, all this requires muscles. I suggest you work out with weights, for example, 2 to 3 times a week, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, no more than 60 minutes at a time. All you need is like 2 or 3 hours total a week. You can do 20 minutes every day or 30 minutes every day, or maybe 45 minutes or an hour, 2 or 3 times a week. Whatever works for you. And again, this doesn't have to be with, it can be with dumbbells, it can be with barbells, it can be with cables, it can be with machines, it can just be your body weight. Just build muscle. Not only will you feel better, you're going to look so much better. And nothing else improves your hormones like lifting weights and having more muscle. And it also helps reduce body fat. Oh, one other thing. People who you're worried about lifting weights and becoming too muscular like Arnold, trust me, it'll never happen. You can take all the steroids in the world. It will never happen. Arnold and all these guys are big simply because they have awesome genetics. If I could, I would. I don't have it. Just, it's not my genes. If I could, I'd weigh another 40 pounds of muscle. So keep that in mind. Women, men, doesn't matter. By the way, how old you are, doesn't matter. Even if you're 60 or 70 years old, lifting weights, you can gain a ton of muscle at any age. Of course, improving your testosterone levels for men and women, especially men, makes a huge difference. And there's links below in the description area on how you can increase your testosterone, which will allow you to live longer and have bigger muscles and stronger muscles and obviously better libido. However, let's move on to the next topic, which is really important, is having a sense of purpose. That allows you to live longer. Now, people in the blue zones, they all have a clear sense of purpose, all right? And that, again, contributes to living longer. Statistics show that once a man retires, he typically dies within 5 years. And I even see it with my dad, the minute he retired, retired later. He just started falling apart, all right? So you have no reason, if you don't have a purpose in the day, especially for men who, if you don't work, you almost have like no purpose for getting up in the day. You have no purpose for staying up late. You're not learning, you're not doing. So you have to have a clear purpose because it allows you to enjoy your day. It gives you a reason to live. And typically when you have a purpose, you're also giving to other people, which is wonderful for you. But when you're giving, you're not focusing on yourself. And when you tend to focus on yourself, you get in a bad place mentally and emotionally. And that causes depression, that causes anxiety, and that will accelerate aging more than anything because it's all stress. And I'll get to that in a minute. Remember, if you have nothing to do or you have no purpose, you also can get depressed. You tend to ruminate with negative thoughts in your head. Why this? You tend to live in the past, or you're worried about the future. Living in the past causes depression. Worrying about the future causes anxiety. You're not living in the moment because you have no purpose. Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, and also one of the oldest at age 95, says, he loves his job. He's loved it for 50 years. And as he said, I'm tap dancing to work every day. What an amazing gift, right? And his business partner who recently died at age 99, Charlie Munger, again, he said he loved doing what he did. And I know someone will say, hey, that's because these guys were billionaires, they're rich. These two guys lived in the same house, did the same thing, went to like JCPenney to buy their suits. So it wasn't that. They didn't spend the money like billionaires or even millionaires. They had a purpose. When you have a purpose in life, you're rich, you're wealthy. I know people who have millions and they're just miserable because they don't have a purpose, especially when they retire or they sell their business. So keep that in mind, having a purpose in life. Now you might think, well, I don't know what my purpose in life is. You do understand down deep, you have a purpose. Unfortunately, maybe culture or society or social media, it clouds up your purpose. So my suggestion is maybe take a walk every day. Remember, you're moving. And don't listen to anything, no podcasts, no phones, none of it. Just walk in nature and think, what do I really love to do? What really turns me on? If I could do anything, what would it be? What's my purpose? And it's good to give children and work and all that, but what's your own purpose in life? And again, I'm pushing this a lot more. Maybe you guys want me to move over this to the next one, but having a purpose in life is so key. And it prevents you from eating junk and doing alcohol, drugs, and all that other stuff. So keep that in mind. So with that said, let's go to the next topic. Now, the next big one, and the last one is the most important, but the next big one is having a strong social connection. Now, longevity blue zone people, they have like close-knit communities. People regularly like interact with family and friends and neighbors. Unfortunately, modern society, especially in the West, people are just, they interact less. They're always on their phone. They don't see each other too much. They're on the internet. You see it all the time. People are walking with their with their heads, in their phones all the time. I even see it in my own house when we have our family dinners. My nieces and nephews are like on their phone. Even my brother's like scrolling all day long. And you're not interacting with other people. You don't even stop. People don't even like make phone calls anymore. They just text each other. Hearing someone's voice is awesome. Interacting with them is great. Now you can even do like FaceTime on your phone if someone's away in another state or country or whatever it is. So interact with people. And this is kind of hard for guys. Women are much better at it. And this is probably one reason that women outlive men, because they're a lot more social. Men, we just kind of keep to ourselves. Men, our friends are usually, from work. We have our buddies. Hey, I know Joe. Joe and I are like this. We're best friends. And really, Joe is just a work buddy. So very rarely do guys put in the effort to continue to be friends. Women are good at it. Hey, let's go do this. Let's go do that. Guys don't, unless it's a sporting event. So have strong social connections. That means effort. You got to put in the effort. Call people, text them, call them, do FaceTime. Say, hey, I was thinking about you. Make friends. I know it takes time. I know it takes effort, but in the long run, it'll pay off. And now let's go, what I think probably was one of the most important factors about living longer, and that's managing your stress levels. Now, when you manage your stress levels, you not only live a longer and healthier life, but you also live a happier life when you manage stress. Now, I'm not saying to not have stress. I'm not saying avoid stress, because that's impossible. And the only time you don't have stress is when you're dead. And stress is good. Stress makes us stronger. When you work out, you have to stress the muscle in order for it to get bigger. All right? That's okay. What I want you to do is manage your stress with your mindset and your actions. For example, I try to eliminate as much negativity in my life from the outside world. What does that mean? I don't watch news. I have no idea what's going on. If it's something super important, I'll find out from someone, right? This guy got assassinated. This country got blown up. Something super big, I'll find out. Otherwise, I really don't care with all the nuances that are going in this world. Is it something I can do about? No. And remember, the news is designed to scare you. What do they say? If it bleeds, it leads, right? That's the goal. People will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So therefore, all news is negative. If someone said, hey, the weather's going to be good tomorrow, don't worry about it, you're not going to watch it, the news. But if it's like, hey, tomorrow we're going to have massive storms, and you find out it's just a little bit of rain, it's no big deal. So keep that in mind. Avoid negative situations. Also avoid negative people. This is so, so important. Just stop for a second. The negative a-holes in your life. People who just seem to be taking and taking and taking. People who don't appreciate. People, the only time you hear from them is when they want something. People who don't listen to you, don't ask questions. You might say, like, hey, how's it going? You're like, well, this and that happened. This and that. Like, oh, dude, that sucked. Anyhow, dude, you'll get over it, bro. Or they'll be like, hey, cool. Is everything okay, bro? Is everything okay? Because they don't want to hear it. Avoid negative people. Give to those who are also willing to give to you, and help those who are willing to help themselves. This is the hardest thing to do, is I've gotten rid of a lot of negative people in my life. And at first it was difficult, but then I soon realized my life was so much better, and I didn't miss out on anything. There was no regrets, no remorse, and my life is better. Remember, negative people are like weeds. They grow, okay? They grow with no sunlight. They grow with no fertilizer. They grow with no water. It just grows. Negativity grows like weeds. Okay, but something positive, like a positive friend, like a rose, you got to nurture that. You got to water it, fertilize it. It's beautiful, though, when you nurtured it. So get rid of the negative people and put more time and effort into the positive people. There's more. Another factor when it comes to stress management is your perception. This is important. Your perception. Now, I remember years ago, I was driving with my girlfriend at that time, who's my ex now, and this is going to be an awesome story, so listen and listen carefully. I was driving her car. I was driving the rental car back. She had her car. We went to the shop to get it fixed. We're driving back. Her car's perfectly fine. I'm driving the rental. A car hits me. I get sideswiped. Anyhow, I pull over, cops come, all this stuff. I'm like, talking to the cops, we're giggling and this and that. And my ex comes to me and she's like, what's going on? How come you're having a good time? The car got ruined, this and that. She never asked how I was doing. She never said, thank God. She just went to a negative place. Okay. She always went to a negative place where my mind was, hey, what's the big deal? Yeah, the car accident sucked, but I didn't get hurt. It's not your car. It's a rental. We give it back. They got insurance. You're safe. I'm safe. No one got hurt. No one got killed. The cops know it's all taken care of when we go back. And I remember telling her, I'm like, you're always stressed. Everything you think of goes immediately to a bad, negative place. Always, always, always. I said, you're going to get sick. In fact, you're just like your mom. She's going to get cancer. You're going to get Well, guess what? A couple of years later, unfortunately, her mom got double mastectomy breast cancer. All right. This is a big deal. And my ex always had stomach problems, always had colitis, always was at the doctor because she always went to a negative place. It's her perception. I always tell people, there's something I learned from Tony Robbins a long time ago. He would say, look, if something bad happened, you have to go and think like, hey, what else could this mean? So let's just say you got in a car accident and you're like, well, what else could this mean? Immediately your brain's going to be like, nothing. It sucks. I got in a car accident. Now I got to get a new car. I got to get this fixed. I got to spend all this money, this and that. I'm like, I got it. What else could this mean? Well, nothing. I'm like, what else could this mean? What else could this mean on a positive note? You got on all the negative. You're like, well, thank God I didn't get hurt. All right. What else could this mean? Well, no one else got hurt. All right. What else could this mean? Well, luckily I've got insurance. Okay. What else could this mean? Well, and you start to go in a positive place. All right. That's what I want. What else could this mean? Allows you to basically detach from the negative and think, well, what else positive could this mean? That's the one thing. And most people have this going to a bad place negative. So that negative muscle gets stronger and stronger. We don't want that. It's too easy to go to a negative place. Everything is around you negative. The news trains you to be negative. But trying to be positive and optimistic, all right, having that right attitude, that takes habit. It takes practice. It takes flexing and flexing and flexing of that muscle to get better. That's what I do. Now immediately something bad happens. Don't think I'm like, oh, who cares, right? At first I'm like, crap, F this, I'm going to kill everyone, all that stuff. But that's 10% of my time, only a few minutes, I focus on the negative problem, and the rest of the time I focus on the positive solution. All right, F this, let's move on. I need to do this, I need to do that. And immediately I feel empowered and I focus on something positive that now enables me to reach that positive goal rather than sitting and stewing in negativity, which causes cancer growth, inflammation, blood sugar increases, high stress levels, cortisol level goes up, all your hormones get wacky, you lose sleep, you're always in a negative place, and that state of mind becomes worse and worse. So again, improving your positive state of mind is really important, and that's managing stress levels, okay? And obviously sleeping is huge, but when you manage stress, you'll sleep better. So I talked a lot in this video. I was gonna make a summary, but honestly, you already know. You have to walk more, all right? You have to eat more of a plant-based diet. This is all going from my memory. Let's see if I didn't forget. You have to have better social connections, put in some effort to your good friends. You need to also manage your stress levels. This is very key, all right? All of this, the key is it all helps lower inflammation, which is huge, helps lower stress levels, which is huge, therefore lowering blood sugar levels, which is huge. All these three things cause massive negativity in your body, and all of them are linked to diseases and cancers and all these things, all right? All these things that I mentioned, allowing someone to live longer, is just lifestyle. Now, I mentioned a lot of things. Just try to do a few of them or one of them or this and that. I know making social friends is more effort or time, but maybe managing your stress levels, your mindset, your perception is, I think, vitally important. Maybe have a little bit more plants in your diet. Maybe reduce a little bit of the junky packaged food, just a little bit here and there. Improve your sleep a little bit more. I put links to all these things below this video. If you want to just take some supplements to help speed up the results and make things easier, great. It helps maybe balance the things out, right? If you don't want to do all the things, supplements help, but it doesn't replace the lifestyle changes. Lifestyle number one, supplements are added as an additional assistance. So take a look at this information below underneath in the description area. I put all the links to all these things. And again, I know this is a long video. I know people have short attention spans, but if you want to live longer, it's not just living longer, it's living a healthier life. And whatever I'm teaching you or reminding you to do today to live an extra 5, 10, 15, 20 years or whatever, that allows you, more importantly, to live a healthier life today. That's the key. I don't want you to be healthy and happy 50 years from now. I'm teaching all this stuff and reminding myself so you can live a healthier life 50 years from now, maybe, right? If you're going to live to be here. But that allows you to live a healthier life today, which therefore allows you to live a healthier life in the future. Again, sorry for blabbing. I think this is a super important topic. It's not one of my usual topics, but this is the stuff I'm interested in. If you are too, leave your questions and comments below. If this was helpful, please share it with someone else, all right? I know it's not just about living longer, it's about living a healthier life. Other people can benefit. Again, subscribe and take a look underneath in the video, in the description area for all the additional links and helpful stuff. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Wishing you a very happy and healthy day. Bye.